Well, hello. My name's Alyssa Meyer. I have lived in Woodland Park my entire life, and I think as a product of this environment, I've wanted to become a wildlife biologist since I was 9. When I was deciding for the classes I would take my senior year, I found out that I'd ran out of biology classes, so I asked around and I found out about this class called Senior Seminar. It's basically an independent study that it also includes community service. And so I contacted Tanya Sharp with the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, wondering if she could think of any projects that I could do for her. She responded, wondering whether I wanted to study the bear interactions in town. I immediately accepted. I began my project this year by going out and surveying all of our local restaurants on their bear activity. I asked them a series of questions. These are the questions. At the first restaurant I surveyed, I made the mistake of asking if the restaurant had a bear problem, to which the owner immediately replied, "It's not a problem." It never occurred to me that not everyone in town thought that bears getting into their trash was a problem. Another restaurant I surveyed told me a story of a bear getting into their dumpsters and how they just watched from inside, thinking how cool it was that a bear was there, and they were taking pictures and videotaping it. And then I asked them, well, did you contact Colorado Parks and Wildlife or the police department? And they said, should we have? From my surveys, I realized that not everybody saw bears getting into their trash as a problem, and that most of the time the novelty of bears being there was worth more than the trouble to call Colorado Parks and Wildlife. About a third of the restaurants reported having bear activity to me, but only one restaurant ever reported it to Colorado Parks and Wildlife or the police department. At the end of August, a bear perished after being treed in the tree in front of Gateway. In response, I contacted all the elementary schools asking if they wanted me to give a bear aware presentation to the kids. Columbine and Gateway replied, so I spent the next few months making a presentation that teach the kids about bear biology, why bears get into trash, and what happens to bears that get into trash. One of the first questions I asked was, what do bears eat? The immediate response was trash. The kids connected bears with trash because that's how it's always been. Bears have always gotten into a trash, and that's just how it is. They didn't know any better. Then to demonstrate why bears got into the trash, I chose 2 kids from the audience, and I had one of them be a bear that was living naturally, and another be a bear that was living off of trash. Previously, I'd filled a box with all my old shredded math homework, and I hid a bunch of Hershey's Kisses inside. There are about 8 of them in there. So I asked the kid that was living naturally to forage in this box that was the forest for 30 seconds to see how many chocolates they could find. The best result I got was they found 4. Then I turned to the other kid that was a bear living off of trash, and I handed them a baggie that had filled with chocolates. It was 3 times the amount the other kid had found, and I just said, here, there you go, have some chocolates. And that's how a bear feels finding trash. They don't need to spend any time or any energy to get the same amount of food a bear tries to get for days on end. And so I turned to the audience and asked them which would they rather do, forage in my box of old math homework or have me hand them chocolates. And almost everyone except for one sarcastic kid said, hand me some chocolates. All right. Next, I worked on mapping the calls received by Colorado Parks and Wildlife and Woodland Park Police Department. 80 nuisance bear calls were received this year. However, I believe that most of bear sightings and incidents go unreported. 15% of these calls went to Columbine Village. There, they spent thousands of dollars to make a trash enclosure that doesn't keep out bears. As a result, they spent thousands more on property damage. 7% of these calls went to Michael Lane, from residents living within 100 yards of each other. 3 of these calls came from the same house, having the same problem consecutive nights. A bear was getting into their garage multiple times. 6% of these calls went to North Pine Street. The bear was getting there on the night before trash day because people were putting their trash out the night before. And 5% of these calls went to Paradise Circle. And the interesting part is that over 17% of sightings went to Woodland Avenue and areas around Woodland Avenue. Now, because Woodland Avenue is so close to downtown, and from the knowledge I gained from my surveys, I believe that this is proof that bears are getting to the dumpsters downtown and then are escaping through these neighborhoods. From these calls, over $5,000 was spent in officers' time alone. This is a little screenshot of my Excel spreadsheet. The only thing I can really account for is how much we pay officers for their time that they spend responding to the call, not the damage caused, not like benefits or anything like that. I can't even begin to estimate the cost that bears caused in damage this year. Then I began researching. I looked at other towns and how they dealt with bear interactions. I looked at what it would take for the city to get bear-proof containers and what makes something bear-proof, and I began thinking. Everything I'd done and learned has only reinforced that we have a bear problem in this town, though it seemed that not everybody thinks of it that way. Here in Woodland Park, we like our lifestyle, we like our forest, and we like our wildlife. Then why are we so willing to jeopardize it for the sake of our own carelessness and our own time? An unhealthy bear population relies on trash. That is what we have created here in Woodland Park, bears that are habituated to trash. A habituated bear is a dangerous bear. They stick around town and are near humans. The likelihood that an incident is going to happen is so high that it's almost inevitable. This bear right here is sleeping behind Big O. That's where this picture was taken. In order to protect ourselves and to protect the bears from each other, I propose 3 steps. The first and most important is that we create an education task force that is composed of volunteers concerned about bear interactions in Woodland Park. Some of the responsibilities of this task force would be to educate residents on bear-human conflict, bear behavior, and solutions and alternatives to the conflict. In Whistler, Canada, a Bear Smart program was implemented. Some of the tasks of the Bear Smart program achieved include a midnight raid in which volunteers went out the night before trash pickup and slapped a Garbage Kills Bears bumper sticker on any trash can they found the night before trash pickup. This act was determined to have cut the number of trash cans available in the next raid by 50%. Over the years the Bear Smart program has existed, Whistler has seen a 75% drop in nuisance bear calls. Similarly, Durango has a Bear Smart Durango program. They have created a Be Bear Smart Week, worked with the city of Durango to obtain bear-proof containers for residents in city parks, initiated a volunteer program for informational material distribution, and created an elementary educational outreach. These are just some of the examples of educational programs already created. Education is the first and most important step. The more people that are aware that there is a problem and know what to do about it, the more likely people are to act. Second, we begin enforcing the laws already in place. This is a Woodland Park ordinance on trash. The bottom part's the most important, that we store garbage in a manner that prevents animals' entry. The city of Telluride is actually in the process of creating such an ordinance. Telluride recognized the problem is derived from open or unsecured trash containers and plan to fine citizens to stop that problem. While the law already exists in Woodland Park, it is not a priority of our officers. With everything else our officers have to do, they understandably don't have the time to keep track of people's trash. However, should we enforce these laws, the revenue from the fines would help fund educational programs and go towards purchasing bear-proof containers. Third, we provide opportunities for residents to find alternatives to trash disposal. This can be achieved with something as simple to a link on the city's website to bear-proof container companies. That's one, for instance, barracuda.com. That bear-proof container right there is $70, and I think it's a 30-gallon. So it's not too steep, and they've been proven to be pretty bear-resistant. The most important thing the city can do is to spread the word of the bear problem and provide information. What I am asking of the city is to provide a means to organize and implement these steps. As just a senior in high school, I realize my limitations. At the end of the summer, I will be leaving to go to CSU Fort Collins. However, before then, I hope to raise the awareness of our bear problem and create the first stepping stones to bear-human coexistence. Thank you.
Thank you.